I know you're asking, is it even possible to learn Japanese in 2 months? Well, I guess we'll soon find out. In the last video, I shared the reasons why I'm trying to learn Japanese in 2 months and the tools I'm using as a beginner. You can go check it out first if you haven't already. Long story short, at the end of April, I'm going to Japan for a language immersion experience, and I want to learn enough Japanese to get by during the trip and also come out from the other side being conversational in Japanese. I saw this comment that said, "I will follow, but you know that it won't happen. Do not be disappointed if you fail." Oh, thank you. You know what? Logically, I know you're probably right. Now that I'm in the thick of it, I'm once again reminded of how much of an uphill battle it is to learn a new language, and sometimes I question whether my project is even realistic, whether it's even possible. But I saw your comment, and the irrational side of me wants to work extra hard, just to prove you wrong. If you're new here, my name is Yuki, I'm a lawyer and YouTuber in Hong Kong, and I'm also a language learning junkie. My latest obsession is learning Japanese. About 2 weeks ago, I faced my first test of my Japanese language abilities. I was in Taipei and I was sitting in this onsen, and this sweet Japanese lady in her 60s came and joined me and struck up a conversation in Japanese. That was my very first real-life conversation in Japanese. すみません、日本語がわかりません。一人ですか？一人です。友達と？いいえ、通話です。私は香港から来ました。温泉が香港にありますか？いいえ、全然ありません。日本にいろいろな温泉あります。I have to say, the lady did a great job trying to communicate with someone who spoke pathetically little Japanese. Between single words and lots of gesturing, we had what felt like a real conversation. It was quite a magical encounter trying to communicate with this lady from Japan while sitting butt naked in an onsen. I wish I had more Japanese under my belt so that I could understand more of what she was trying to say. In the weeks following that encounter, I've actually doubled down on my efforts to learn Japanese. Like I mentioned in the last video, I was planning to follow Inoue Sensei's free YouTube course, and he has these companion books which I finally committed to buying. So I've got both book 1 and book 2. I committed to sitting down every evening and trying to learn a couple lessons after work. I worked through the books while following his YouTube videos. I've also been using this Pimsleur Japanese audio course. For those of you who aren't familiar, Pimsleur is this audio course that gives you a 30-minute lesson to go through every single day, and it gives you new bits of grammar and vocabulary to work through. So I make sure I finish the Pimsleur class of the day first thing in the morning, before I even go pee or brush my teeth. So, you know, people who hit the gym first thing in the morning, same, except I lie half awake in bed and finish my Pimsleur audio course of the day. And whenever I get some time during my workday, like for example when I take my toilet breaks, I sit on the toilet and try to recall what I learned the previous day from Inoue Sensei's grammar book. I also stepped up my vocabulary learning, so I'm aiming to learn 10 to 20 new words every day from the Mesh Class app that I mentioned in the last video. By sticking with Inoue Sensei's YouTube videos and his books, I've quickly sprinted through the different verbs variation with masu forms, te forms, and ta forms. His books and his videos are very concise and to the point. He literally covers a variation in 2 pages of his books. So you can see here, it's literally 2 pages. It is very good for grasping quickly and having an overall idea of what different variations mean. So for example, masu verbs like kakimasu can be transformed to mean different things. Kaki hajimemashita means starting to write. Kaki owarimashita means finished writing. Kakitai desu means want to write. Kaki yasui desu means easy to write with. But there's still a big gap between understanding what a grammar structure means and being able to understand it when you hear it and being able to use it naturally when you want to express yourself. I've personally found combining a grammar book like Inoue Sensei's book with the Pimsleur audio course very useful in this regard, because I can combine the logical understanding of the grammar structure with the intuition I gain from shadowing the audio course. If I'm only using the Pimsleur audio course, I may not be able to understand why certain words or sounds are included in a sentence, but if I only use the grammar book, I may be thinking too much in my head, translating too much to be able to say anything. It's currently working quite well for me to do the audio course in the morning and the work on the grammar book in the evening, so that I get the stimulus throughout the day and keep my language learning engine going. I'd really recommend that you give this method a try if you're still feeling tongue-tied after putting in lots of time trying to learn grammar structures and memorize new vocabulary. Now that I've learned more grammar, my lack of vocabulary has come into sharp focus. So now, if my Japanese is a sushi roll, I've got the nori and the rice, but no fish, no sakana to put in the sushi roll. So now I have to go collect some new words, catch some new fish to actually say stuff. Some of you may know I've been using the Mesh Class app for my vocabulary building. Because I'm working on Inoue Sensei's book for the grammar part, I'm now only focusing on the vocabulary aspect in the Mesh Class app. I'm currently working on the N5 vocabulary, and I plan to work step by step up to N4, N3, and so on. Oh, she knows Chinese! So, I got a bit triggered when I saw this comment that said, I left the video when she said she knew Chinese. Part of me read it like, oh, she's a fraud. You're cheating if you're learning Japanese when you know Chinese. But you could also mean that because you don't speak Chinese, my experience learning Japanese won't be applicable to you, which I totally understand and respect. I'm very upfront that I read and write Chinese. My native language is actually Cantonese. I made a video about survival Cantonese if you're interested. The premise on which I'm pushing myself to learn Japanese in a shorter time frame is precisely because I recognize there are similarities between the Japanese language and the Chinese language, namely that the Japanese writing system uses kanji, literally Chinese characters, alongside hiragana and katakana. I'm obviously leaning into my unfair advantage here, but at the end of the day, Japanese and Chinese are two very different languages with different grammar structures and pronunciations, etc. So it will still take major effort on my part to reach any level of proficiency in Japanese. こんにちは、ゆきです。先月から日本語を勉強し始めました。中国語が話せます。でも、日本語は全然同じじゃありません。まだ日本語が苦手です。2週間前から定型とマス形を習いました。来月、日本語を習いに行きます。日本語を話してみます。次のビデオを会いましょう。So that's my broken Japanese for the day. Thank you so much for your support. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.